Col Manoj Keshwar is a fellow army man who decided to trade his combat boots for a set of wheels to conquer the world. In a story that transcends geographical boundaries, Col Manoj Keshwar, also lovingly called Mike in the army, has embarked on an awe-inspiring adventure across the globe, spreading the message of resilience, courage, and the endless possibilities that life beholds. Today, we will take you on an adrenaline-fueled ride through the compelling episodes of Mike's Globetrotting adventures. Join us as we immerse ourselves in a life-changing experience of an ex-army man who's turned into a global explorer. So, before we begin, Mike, I know your stories of being born next to one of the most iconic roads of the world, and how, as a small kid, you looked at that road and you knew that your life was not in that village. You just knew that the road is beckoning you. Let's begin from there.
Yeah, I was pretty young then, maybe 4 to 5 years young. And my village is on Grand Trunk Road in Karnal. And there used to be these hippies. You know, those were the days of early 70s where these hippie vans and even motorcycles. They used to come all the way from Amritsar. Actually, they used to come from Pakistan. And they used to actually start in London, probably, or somewhere in the Europe, and travel all the road, come down in front of my village, and pass on to Delhi, on to Kolkata, and go deep into Southeast Asia, those days. And so as a young man, I used to find them. And a lot of these guys, sometimes their whole thing was wherever it was evening, they will just camp. And we had this very old school from the British times, and it used to look a pretty nice place to camp. So it had water, well, and a police station. So for the hippie, this was quite
safe
a safe place to do this thing. And so they will put a bonfire, and they will play guitars, and I'll stay a couple of days. And we were small kids, and we will just run in the day to go around them and listen to them and talk to them and interact with them. We could understand nothing in those days because I didn't know English then. But I found that what is this lifestyle? You know, a lifestyle on the road, traveling the whole world, seeing new things, interacting with people, stopping wherever you want to stop, exploring wherever you want to explore, and singing your way through the life. Now, that's the life which, I thought this is a great life, and this is the life which should be lived. Their clothes also used to be very colorful. Like we were in the village, we were used to, kurta dhoti of white color. Everybody used to be monochromatic, and this was very Eastman color life. So I thought this is a life to be lived, and that was the seed in my heart. Once in my life, I want to live a life like that, and so that's where it all started.
And then, of course, you joined the army and you had your career, which I'll talk about one or two because I like that story. Mike once told me a story about outcomes, and he titles it very nicely, "There's no water in the tap," and I think that's a beautiful story to be told. But even as a young cadet and as a young officer, I know that you were spending a lot of time exploring, which not necessarily all officers do. I myself haven't done as much as you have. Well, barely even a tenth of it. But you used to find the time, even in the forces, to take off and explore. Why would you do that?
My whole, as a young person, I was restless in exploring. I wanted to it was my aim to explore the world. And right from the day I bought my first motorcycle, I haven't traveled on a train or a bus or a car or a plane in my army days. I always took my motorcycle from my place of posting to my place of my parents. And I would spend 5 to 10 days exploring everything I could see on the way. So there was a thirst or a lust for life. Life in observation, life in history, life in culture, life in adventure, life in breaking the barriers. I am really not happy in comfort zone. I want to step out. If I've done one thing, I want to do a little more. If I've done that, and I want to do a little more. So that's a basic sense of, explorer or an adventurer or a man who's not satisfied with the status quo of life. in whatever way it is, professional life, touring life, adventure life, reading life, leadership life, experimental life, anything. So I just want to keep expanding the boundary because I feel very trapped in a comfort zone. So that's...
Yeah, we also discussed this earlier when you said that, and I believe it also, that adventure has to be an essential quality in a leader. Matter of fact, if we study biographies of leaders, really amazing leaders, you'll find that they have an element of physical courage in them. Most of them have an element of physical courage. So they need to be able to put their body to risk to be able to explore something which is new. And this sense of adventure is actually fungible. So if you have a sense of adventure in one aspect of your life, there's a very good chance that you will have a similar sense of exploring boundaries, exploring limits in other areas of your life as well. Do you?
Yeah, I would completely agree with that because, for any leader, when you are on the top of a heap or in front of a detail, you are the first one facing the rough winds. You're the first one who's facing unknown situations. You're the first one who has to deal with ambiguity. And these winds and ambiguity and tolerance of it, this comes from adventure, a spirit of adventure. सभी को डर लगता है और सभी कंफ्यूज होते हैं जब नई सिचुएशन आती है. लेकिन that person who steps one step forward and says, I'll take this on, I'll deal with it. Even he is afraid.
Of course he is.
But उसमें ये दम है कि मैं कदम बढ़ाता हूँ, सभी डरे हुए हैं, एंड मेरे कदम बढ़ाने से ये सब एनकरेज होंगे. Now this is leadership. One man stepping forward with an approximate solution and everybody else now overcoming the fear and following this man. That's leadership. So two things are very clear, that you have to be ready to step out of the comfort zone, which almost always will be physical.
Yes,
almost always. And then you have to have a sense to deal with ambiguity. मतलब क्या होगा? करके देखते हैं, चल के देखते हैं, कूद के देखते हैं, निकल के देखते हैं, पहला कदम बढ़ाते हैं. This initiative to have tolerance for ambiguity and stepping out of the comfort zone, this sets a leader apart. And adventure activity, physical adventure activity, immediately brings this mentally to you. So you have an example. So now you and me, we all are personalities, and we are sum total of all the adventure, audacity we have shown in our lives. Sum total. One incident, second incident, मैंने डायमंड बेल्ट किया, मैंने 10 मीटर कूदा, मैंने वर्ल्ड की हाईएस्ट बंजी जंप करी, मैंने यहाँ से लंदन तक मोटरसाइकिल चलाई, मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. तो ये जो विश्वास आपका आता है, ये आता है sum total of all the traumas, adventure activities, beyond the comfort zone activities you've done. It gives you tremendous confidence. And choosing people to go into unknown are those leaders who are good with tolerance for ambiguity. And to tell you, in the armed forces, one of the top quality of leader
is tolerance for
ambiguity.
So that's a very interesting aspect, which I'm sure many of our viewers who are from the corporate world of leadership, there's a lot of this jargon floating around now, leading in ambiguity, VUCA world and all of that. But this element of tolerance of ambiguity actually only comes when you are practicing ambiguity on a regular basis. Otherwise, how will you tolerate? It's like saying tolerance of heat or tolerance of pain. You can't practice tolerance of pain by not having pain. So to that extent, I kind of agree with you. Now, just to also set the preamble for our viewers, who will be, because most of the conversation that Mike will be talking about will be about traveling to places and traveling to difficult places and traveling by motorcycles and by SUVs as well. And I am a firm believer in that also, because I always believe that when you move from place A to place B in an aircraft, you are essentially being put inside a chrome building and inside an aluminium pipe, and you go in the aluminium pipe and you get out at the other end, which is another chrome building in another city, and you miss out the exciting part, the smell, the flavor, the taste, the people whom you meet on the way. So I just wanted to set that up as to why you consider the sense of adventure and the experience of adventure as being one of the core leadership skills that can be learnt and which is very, very fungible.
That's right.
Right. Now I want to go back to that story, which is one of my favorite stories that I have heard from you. And it's a beautiful story about how, despite a lot of activity, you eventually don't get the outcome. And I think Mike tells it in a very interesting way, and I'll let Mike do that.
Yeah. So this is a story in our regiment. We were in Kota, and there was this town hall kind of a meeting which was happening. And so in a town hall, so there's GOC, deputy GOC sitting, and the garrison engineer, and all these people are sitting.
These are all the senior
service
leaders
providers.
sitting and talking to the rank and file, all
Audience.
the troops and their
Yes,
wives
yes.
and families and
Yes,
all of that.
they're talking to the families, and they basically want to get a feedback as to is their life okay in the cantonment. So, I mean, a lot of question answering was going on, and a lot of feedback was being given. And one thing which caught our attention was when this lady, and she was a wife of a Jawan, of a Maratha light infantry, and she got up and she spoke in English. So once she spoke in English, everybody's attention goes to her, and she said, "Sir, I have a question." And so everybody, there was a silence because not many Jawans ladies actually
At
ask
that
you,
time, at least.
at that stage, used to ask a question in English. So there was a silence, and the general sitting there, he said, "Yes, madam." So she said, "Sir, there is no water in my tap. In my house, there is a tap, one tap. We take water from it, we cook our food, we drink that water, but there is no water in my tap. But I have to tell you that whenever I have complained, like 1 month back, there was no water in my tap. I complained to G, and I wrote in the register complaint, and very efficiently by afternoon, one person came and he checked if there's water in the tap, and then he checked and he went up to the storage tank on the top, and he said, "Ma'am, हमने ठीक कर दिया, आपका पानी आ जाएगा."
जब पीछे से रिलीज होएगा
जब रिलीज होगा तो पानी आ जाएगा, शाम तक पानी आएगा, शाम को जब पानी आता है रेगुलर तो आएगा आपका पानी. But in the evening, no water in my tap, sir. Next day, I again go to the complaint box and I write a complaint and I tell that JCO, कि साहब, there is no water in my tap. I complained yesterday also. He said, "Madam, मैं अभी ये सब बंद करके आपके साथ चलता हूँ. Let me see क्या है." गया and he went. He came to my house efficiently. He came. He checked out. He said, "I think pipe change होगा मैडम. कल मैं pipe order करूँगा, आके change करेंगे और हो जाना चाहिए." Next day, efficiently, new pipes came. It will all changed, and they said, "शाम को पानी आएगा, आपके पास आ जाना चाहिए." In the evening, there is no water in my tap. Now I again go after 1 week of struggle. I again go to the G, and this time they say, "Madam, आप AG साहब को मिल लीजिए." And I met AG, and AG said, "How is this possible? I will myself come to your house and see how this was not done. I'll bring everybody." And he brought a contractor and everybody, and they all came in and they checked. "So, sir, I want to tell this house that for 15 days, I am still borrowing water from my neighbors, and there is no water in my
No
tap.
water in my tap.
Everybody is efficient. I can't falter anybody. Big efficiency, responsiveness, coming to my house.
Lot of harkat.
Everything is happening. But there is no water in the tap. What is the point? Now, in this, there is a very large lesson. Of course, at some stage, the water came to her house.
Obviously, GOC.
Yes. By evening of that, I'm sure water came to her house because there was no more such complaint. But the lesson here is we keep doing a lot of talk, a lot of efficiency, a lot of movement. But unless and until the desired result is delivered, it means nothing. Execution of the laid down work or desired work is the key. Nothing else moves. If I have to deliver a adventure activity from here to London, if people don't reach London in time or I don't make them, it's all no water in
No
the
water
tap.
in the tap. Yeah.
So this jargon of finding water in the tap, you can use it anywhere. You can use it in your house, you can use it in your schools, you can use it
In your company?
in corporate, company, leadership, everywhere. Because finally, we need people who deliver water in the tap.
Tap.
Everything else is waste.
So again, for the viewers, Manoj commanded a unit in the Indian Army, and it was engineers unit, which is a fighting unit, and one of the elite engineering units he commanded. And he also sort of created this metaphor that there is no water in the tap. And it kind of became a jargon or a not jargon, I would say a vocabulary in the organization, and wherever else you have gone, it has now become a kind of a takiya kalam, so to say, कि भाई पानी आया कि नहीं आया नल के, बाकी ये कहानी 70 slide presentation and all, I don't want to tell me is there water in that tap.
Yes.
So you finished your colored service, and after that you decided, you also worked, you joined McDonald's as a
heading HR McDonald's.
Heading HR, which is, by the way, for many forces people, when they move out from the armed forces, they typically either go into security or they go into administration, or some of them into HR. Seems like a glove that will fit very well. What happened?
So I followed a very conventional method, which somebody said, okay, if you want to jump out of the army, follow the IIM, get picked up, and get into a corporate job, and then it's salary again.
Again, I'm just expanding for viewers who may not know this, but when officers leave the army, the Indian Army, in an effort to armed forces, not just the army, they have a tie-up with all the IIMs and other B schools, including MDI and Narsi Monji, where they send the officers for a 6 months course on MBA. It's an MBA. It's kind of a mini MBA. So you did that, and then you were picked up from the campus.
I did a 1-year one, executive, different from this one. But I got picked up, and I could last the corporate life only 8 to 9 months, because that seed which was sown to me on GT Road in my village, that life on the road, that adventure, that stepping out, it was really not getting served. I had a office and a wall and a laptop, and 6-8 months is all I could tolerate, because there was a learning curve. And the moment the curve flattened, I felt that my job here is over. And we stepped out, and I raised this company called Victorians, which is based on a Victoria Cross unit, which I commanded. And then I began the journey of riding around the world on motorcycle or SUV, and exploring the world. It's a beautiful, beautiful world out there. And you have one life. All the dreams you have, if you have not lived them, then for your own life, you've not delivered the water in the tap. So I stepped out, and I decided what requires to be done, which really satisfies me. So basically, I didn't see it from a job perspective. I said, I'm going to live a life which I want to live. And if on the way it makes money, it's fine. But I am not going to compromise anymore on a dream which I have nurtured for, at that stage, about 24 odd years. So
tell me about some of your rides and some of the, we always talk about how it's in uncertainty that we learn the most important lessons.
There have been many, many rides we've done, and almost 80% of those rides don't exist as far as Indian customers are concerned, or Indian riders are concerned. So we actually laid down a pioneering path for motorcycling expedition around the world. To start with, the very first ride was the 1864 Mae Hong Son loops in northern Thailand. A lot of people don't know about it. It is one of the top ride of the world for a superbiker. And getting that ride off the blocks was an amazing thing. So we had this little lead in which people wanted to know if somebody conducts a ride abroad. And somebody said, okay, I heard a guy, Mike, he's opened a company recently, and he conducts these rides abroad. So at that stage, I had done my own rides, but I had never conducted a ride for somebody commercially. So this opportunity came my way. I was riding around a few countries, and one of the rides I proposed to them was the garden route in Africa, the Melbourne to Sydney, and Chiang Mai. By the cost, Chiang Mai won. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this ride for you guys, and we will plan for at least 10 people. And 38 people signed up.
Wow. So 4x of what you planned for.
4x. So that's when I decided that, or I had a sense that probably there is a business here. And this was our first ride abroad, and we had 38 riders from group of Delhi Sopo bikers. And I had zero idea how to handle 38 bikers. 38 bikers, agar aap samjho, sir.
Yeah, very big group. It's very big.
Very large.
In hindsight, you would probably not use 38 today, right?
I never. So, in a city, first biker to last biker, the distance is 1.5 to 2 kilometers. You know, that means the city will actually come to a standstill when these bikes will go.
Yeah, yeah.
And the scale of falling, if one guy falls, 6 fall behind him. That was the thing. And I had no idea how this will work. So, very ambiguous situation, very new situation, very fast moving situation. Fast moving as in 100 kilometers per hour is how the speed at which this goes. So, we improvised, we made some functional cells, we made some functional leaders, we improvised the leader, the midway sub-leaders and the tail. And then that's how this whole ride finally got conducted. Of course, 6 people, this falling of 6 people gave me a very good lesson to say that, you know, not all will go right on all the expeditions and some of the other situations will have to be. So we were able to immediately call on, you know, the emergency services and all that. Of course, that's military teaches you to prepare all contingency planning. So we had these contingencies and we were able to, you know, get these people up and also replace the bikes by the evening. Well, of course, military teaches you all that. So that was very, very ambiguous situation which I faced at the very first ride which we took across. There were many more. I mean, after we started riding in a concept called Dream 25. Now, Dream 25 is, you know, I am left with, let's say, 25 years of riding life. So each year I must be able to explore at least one new country. And then by the end I finished my riding, I would have done 25 countries ride. And I would be a satisfied man as far as my riding life is concerned. And in that, we continue to grow. Each year, we were launching one or two rides, and 2 to 3 rides we were launching. Today, we are in almost 30-odd countries. The newest ride being Armenia, I mean, which nobody's gone there. In fact, the bikes are also assembly of various parts. You just go there. So this is all very, very ambiguous situation. We are moving into geographies which nobody has been moving. So that's the beauty of it. I mean, going into the unknown, going into ambiguous situations, trying to find out newer routes, newer exploration, newer people, newer culture, newer adventures. That's what keeps moving me. I mean, in the morning to evening, it's a way of life for me, and I'm never tired of it. So all this kept happening, and at one stage we said, okay, let's do a big one. There was this company who was Adventure Overland. I think they were doing these rides on SUVs to London. I said, okay, it's time for Victorians now to launch Delhi to London ride. And we had this 6 bikers and 2 to 3 SUVs. I'm actually surprised how people signed up because I had never done this before. But they had this confidence. I had this, reliability factor or confidence or Colonel Saab hai, ho jayega.
Mike hai to
mumkin hai. So people used to say that too. And we started moving and we crossed Myanmar. Myanmar is very tough. In terms of compliances, in terms of licenses, in terms of going through it, there's Iron Curtain
military janta, so
to Myanmar. So Myanmar still went off well. Then we went into Laos. Laos is extremely poor nation and they don't have infrastructure. All the infrastructure in Laos is made by Chinese because they want to transport their stuff from China to Bangkok and the Southeast Asian. So in Laos, there are typical roads. The road has got a W turn. There's one trough, then rise, and a trough, and a rise. And these are caused by these heavy transportation trucks which go. And the bike in those ruts tends to slip, completely. And we had about 180 kilometers of this, and it was dark. And it had rained in the day. So by the evening, these street lights attract these flies and all that, and they were all getting into your faces and these rides. So I said, oh boy, I just hope that nobody falls in this. So we stopped, we moved to a side, and I said, guys, night has fallen. It can't get worse than this. All you have to do is go slow. Wherever you're tired, just let us know, and we will. So slowly and steadily they started moving, and it took us 3 times more time, but safely we reached in a camp in Laos. And That's the night started doubting myself, and I was afraid that there's a lot of this stuff I don't know.
And it's coming up ahead.
What is coming up ahead, I don't really know. But what gave me confidence was in the past, all the stuff were always like this. There was
But you
always
figured
a
out,
fear.
हो जाएगा.
ये हो जाएगा. उम्मीद रहेंगे तो हो जाएगा. And team is together. I kept telling team, truthfully, that guys, all situations every day are going to be new. We have to face with them, and I'm here. Most of the planning which could have been done by anybody has been done. If the situations go wrong, we will correct them. But we all have to be together, all of us. So at Laos, this one thing really bonded us. And that night, with rain and the flies and the rut, everybody made through together. So having not done this thing ever in their lives, gave them a confidence कि यार ये हो गया, कल भी हो जाएगा. Each day, then we continued to move forward. And one of the things which really comes to me in Kashgar, Kashgar is the last town in China. China we did 90, I have 53. So it was a 53 days ride. Of which major portion is in China. 90.
They're a massive country.
Massive country, from south to north you're moving. And there, the transition from Kashgar to Irkistan, that's a pass in Kyrgyzstan, Central Asia, that is a very critical part. The distance to travel is 8 hours long. And then there are checkposts on the way. And the Chinese checkposts are extremely painful. So they will make you stand, put your passport here, and they'll take your picture like a
mugshot.
Like a mugshot. And they will do it 4 times. So after we crossed immigration, firstly the immigration itself took us 4 hours. The systems were down and we were delayed 4 hours at the immigration. So all my plan went awry. The time I decided I would have left China is the time they cleared us of immigration. Now you had 4 more checkposts and 6 hours is what it takes to reach that border. So we started crossing one by one till we reached the border, and by about 10 o'clock in the night, we were at the Chinese border. And the Chinese commander, military commander, who clears all these people who cross into Kyrgyzstan, he was having food. So he made us wait 1 hour till he finished food. And then he came out and he saw us, saw everybody. Thankfully, there were women on the ride. So he let us cross. And when we went from Chinese border to the Kyrgyz border, the Kyrgyz people greeted us with smiles. And they said, sir, the immigration post is closed. You are very late. They close at 8 o'clock and you are coming at 10:30, 11. I don't think you will get through. So just go at the immigration post and just lie down there till morning. So we went to this immigration post and we were standing there very in large despair. And as a leader of the group, I was very nervous. And I felt that I am going to have a embarrassment in this. So Marta kya na karta, I started looking around for some light somewhere, and the house behind the immigration post there was one light, and went in there. There was a person who was about to pray, and I knocked, and he came out, and he said, "Sir, what do you need?" I said, "We got very delayed, and we really need help." So this person left everything. He had not eaten his food and anything. He came out. He opened the office. He switched on the systems. He called one of his assistants to come and help us out. Not only that, he also phoned a house much ahead, say about 100 kilometers ahead, to say, please give them a place to stay and food. So 1:30, 2 o'clock, when we finished immigration and traveled to that place, those people in a village were waiting for us on the road. And they took us
into their houses.
To their houses. At 1:32, they gave us food.
I think the 2 key lessons that I'm hearing from this is, one, fortune does favor the brave.
Yes.
Right? If you make that leap,
yes,
then things do come.
Yes.
And any sort of a trauma that we undergo actually gives us confidence to be able to handle something which is tougher and maybe something more difficult which will come. But that confidence कि मैंने किया हुआ है, मैंने पहले किया, like You said diamond belt kiya. But, but viewers, it's the last run that is done in the academy. It's considered a very tough run, or you've done the commando course or something like that. You have that sense of confidence ki ye kiya hua hai maine, something similar I have done in the past, and that's what builds this reservoir of leadership for the future.
Right.
So, Mike, other than these rides that you've been doing to London and to various other countries, you have also been doing what we call the battlefield rides.
Yes, sir,
So,
yes.
to tell our viewers, battlefield rides are rides where Mike and a few riders who are, aligned towards those kind of things actually go and pay homage to our fallen soldiers in battlefields. So, why don't you tell us about these two rides that you've been doing?
So as a person who just stepped out of the armed forces, I feel there is a supreme sacrifice which our soldiers make out there, and that remains very close to our hearts. I mean, all soldiers who step out, that one part really pulls you back. And so I decided that once in 1 or 2 years, we will go to one of these battlefields and pay homage. And lots of ex-servicemen and civilians, they join us for these rides. And the purpose is only simple, that go there, stand in silence and say thank you for all these people who made our nation possible, its boundaries secure. So we have done a ride, a couple of rides to actually Kargil, battlefield ride, and a couple of battlefield rides to Rezangla. Rezangla, as you know, is last man, last round. One of the battlefields which has got lesser recognition than what it deserved in the history of the world, battle history of the world. So Rezangla, now there is a beautiful war memorial. We've seen it when there was nothing there, just a gun and a helmet. To now a beautiful story being told there, and some justice has been done in that. So battlefield rides are going to happen year on year, and we will keep.
And I hope there are civilians coming in this.
It's open to civilians. So it's not just that, they must also get inspired and do their own rides to these battlefields. Go salute these soldiers who laid down their lives and left their families, and there are at least 20 of them which we can go to, starting from Longewala here to Gadra city, to on to in the east side, Walong and all these places. Entire Himalayan region and Rajasthan is full of these battlefields. So go relive them and tell your children the story about these soldiers. Yes,
people have actually
spilled blood. Yes, sir. So and also it's our way to reconnect, the life we have lived, and it's so dear to us when we left armed forces. So yes, I mean, it keeps calling me back.
Keeps recharging your battery.
Yes, it does. It's a great thing.
And the last question I want to ask you is, after all these things, biking, striking and all that, you have now founded and helped in founding an NGO which is to clean the Ganga.
Yes.
So what's the story behind that?
So the organization is called Atulya Ganga. And Ganga, of course, is most revered river in India, and Ganga Sagar se leke, Akash Ganga, everything is on Ganga. Ganga is deep rooted in our culture.
Dakshin Gangotri.
Dakshin Gangotri.
The Antarctic station.
Ji, it's called Dakshin Gangotri. So Ganga in India is one of the rivers which is dying. And in some portions it's dead.
It's dead.
Yes, it's dead.
So when you say dead, it means that that's no longer a river, that's just a sewer.
It's a sewer, yeah. So what we've done is we've taken out water from various places to take it out for irrigation. And by the time it reaches Kanpur, at Kanpur Barrage, there is no Ganga water ahead. It's all sewerage of Kanpur, which flows all the way to Sangam in Allahabad, or now called Prayagraj. So aim was that we raise an organization where we get people together to come and demand the rejuvenation of Ganga or Ganga Basin. And this organization was founded. Original idea was Gopal Sharma ji and Colonel Hem Lohmi. They have been mountaineers together, and they have climbed lots of mountains from Gangotri on to Rudragera and all these places. So they are the ones who were toying with this idea for a while. And when they came to me, I said, "Ye idea kuch matlab nahi rakhta till the time you have water in the tap." If you have an idea, you are dishonest if you don't put it on ground and start walking. I said, let's put a parikrama as a physical symbol of an idea which you want to promote. And let's do Ganga Parikrama. It's called Mundamal Ganga Parikrama, in which you walk both banks of the river without crossing in between. And that's what we did. We had 6 months, we walked 5,530 kilometers and met with people, and as a military man, we saw firsthand how bad is the river. So Atulya Ganga is, I think, the most dynamic people participation program in terms of rejuvenating our rivers and to get the youth up to speed, because the biggest stakeholder in this is the youth. And Gopalji is 82 and he says, मरने से पहले मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये जो ग्राफ नदी का नीचे जा रहा है ये कहीं ना कहीं ऊपर को बुड़ जाए. इतना भी मैं अपनी जिंदगी में कर पाया तो अतुल्य गंगा का वाटर इन द टैप हो जाए. इनफैक्ट अतुल्य गंगा में भी हम यूज करते हैं कि सर जितना भी काम कर रहे हो अगर नदी साफ नहीं हो रही
then there is no water
in the tap.
So with that, Manoj, it's been a pleasure and an honor. I've ridden with Mike several times, and we share many of the passions. And of course, what Mike is now doing in terms of Atulya Ganga and walking literally from the Gaumukh all the way to Ganga Sagar, which is where Ganga meets the ocean, and then walking all the way back, which is 5,000 kilometers, 5,500.
530, yeah, that's right.
And my sense is that somewhere in leadership, we need to find a purpose that is much larger than ourselves. And as I think Mike pointed out, money, shani will come. Matter of fact, more will come than what you had anticipated. But if the focus is on material, then we usually tend to stay in our comfort zones, and we lead each day as the one that we led before and the one that we led before and the one that... So even if those months, those years were taken out from our lives, we'd probably not even notice the difference. So we might as well have not lived those years. So thanks a ton, Mike, for coming over here.
Thank you, sir.
Safe rides, safe journeys, and if you ever are on the road in some remote place and you see a biker coming, there's a very good chance that it might be Mike and you might want to wave out.
Yeah, I must explore. Yeah, that's right.
Thanks a ton, Mike.
Right, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.